Hey guys, this is David Osorio, head coach and owner of CrossFit South Brooklyn. We're here with this Inside the Affiliate series to talk about the what, why, and how we do things at our gym that have allowed us to be as successful as we have over the last 10 years. Our goal for you guys is to take this information, steal it, make it your own, and make it better. Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about the CFSBK Movement Quality Scale. We'll talk about what it is, why we think it's a valuable tool for you and your affiliates, and how we use it at CFSBK. So first of all, what is it? It's essentially a quantitative measure of qualitative movement trends. So this is a way that we can begin as coaches, as practitioners, to think more categorically about the things we see in front of us, whether it's an individual or it's a group of individuals in your class. We use 5 different levels to talk about movement, with 5 being the worst and 1 being the best. We'll go into some details of that later on. All right, so why is this important? This tool can be used 2 different ways. One is it's part of a bigger picture for the culture and expectations at your gym, the culture of movement quality, about how your members approach movement, the expectations that you have with your coaches about how you want them to run class, the expectations that you have about how well they need to be making people move in their private training and in their group classes. So it's also effective for communication and evaluation. So for example, I can go into the specifics that I might see with a coach, working with somebody and having some issues, but I might have a broader picture perspective that I want to take. I might say, hey, what I'm seeing in a lot of your classes, I'm seeing a lot of level 4 movement, a lot of errors that are not being corrected. Maybe specific things that we've talked about, a heavy rounded back deadlift being or level 5 movement. That's something that's unacceptable at our gym. So beginning to standardize the language, how we think about movement, how we begin to categorize different levels of movement quality. Again, to really just help you guys have a communication within your gym about what's important to you, what's safe, what your standards are. All right, so let's talk about the scale. Like I mentioned before, we have 5 levels here, with 5 being the worst, 1 being the best. At level 5, we have unsafe movement, which is an immediate danger to the athlete. So this is like a fire that needs to be stomped out immediately, okay? Things that happen in your gym which could cause acute, immediate injury, pain, etc. to one of your members or even somebody else. So as an example, heavy rounded back deadlift, somebody repping out 315 with a completely collapsed spine, they're in complete flexion, they're dropping the bar, they really don't have the ability to control the weight they're moving. Someone benching with a suicide grip, they've got their thumbs on the wrong side of the bar, they're benching heavy, there's a potential there for them to drop the bar on their chest, drop the bar on their face. Extreme lateral shift during a heavy squat, so someone's going for maybe a heavy triple and their hips are shifting dramatically to the right as they ascend every single rep, something that's not being coached out, cued out. Could also be a valgus knee fault, knees are collapsing in really egregiously during the squat. Someone snatching heavy with a really gnarly press out, maybe they haven't been taught how to bail, they're dropping the bar on themselves, they clearly are moving beyond their capacity. So in level 5, again, these are things that from a cultural perspective, you need to get on top of immediately. You can't let these things happen because they're toxic to your members, they're toxic to the culture of movement quality at your gym, and ultimately they're unsafe. They're a liability for you, and obviously we want to keep our members safe, so we have that duty to keep them safe, to keep them moving well, to get ahead of anything that might be a level 5 movement. So level 5 movement, again, something that we want to stay on top of and never see, like I said, fire that needs to be put out immediately. All right, so level 4. Level 4 and 5 are actually kind of similar. Again, this is unsafe movement that needs to be addressed immediately, but it's imminent danger. So if this is fire, this is smoke, okay? Let's go back to our example of the deadlift. So in level 5, maybe someone's repping at 315 with a completely rounded back. They've lost position, they can't regain it, they're moving well beyond their capacity. You could have the same technical faults in level 4. Someone's rounding their back doing deadlifts, but maybe it's a much lighter load. Maybe it's someone coming out of foundations, they're deadlifting 75 pounds, they've lost extension in their back. Again, it's on the coaches to get on top of that person to make sure they're making the corrections to have them move better. Again, these are still unsafe, these are still things that we need to get directly on top of, but they maybe don't pose the immediate danger that a level 5 movement would. So some other examples would be catching clean with a collapsed rack and thoracic spine. So maybe you have someone coming to the gym who's self-taught the Olympic lift, self-taught on CrossFit, really unrefined, making a variety of egregious errors. Again, you need to get on top of these people. Even if they're going a little bit lighter, I need to make those corrections sooner than later. Like I mentioned, this is fire, this is smoke. I need to get on top of this stuff. So moving on to level 3, we're getting closer to acceptable movement. So level 3 would be safe but unrefined. Here's a situation where the athlete is making a reasonable attempt to perform the exercise model, but they're still making some basic technical errors. So this could be somebody coming out of your foundations program. This is their second or third time benching or doing a power clean. You're going to expect that it's not going to be completely refined movement, but they're moving in the right direction and they need some more hands-on coaching to get them moving toward that level 2. So again, level 2, things that are safe but unrefined. Benching with a slightly inconsistent bar path. So they're benching, you see some deviation in the bar path on the way up. Maybe their lats aren't tight enough, they're not engaged through their shoulder girdle. Little things like that we need to kind of tune into and refine. Early arm pull during the Olympic lifts, so they're setting up to snatch or clean, they got an early arm pull. Again, not ideal, not what we want, and as coaches we need to get on top of that. But I'm not worried, it's not fire, it's not smoke, I'm not super concerned that this person's going to hurt themselves if I turn around and look the other way to help another athlete. Slight loss of thoracic extension on deadlift, someone setting up to deadlift, they've got a little loss in their shoulder position. They get a little protraction in their shoulders, a little thoracic flexion. Again, none of these things are ideal. These are still pertinent issues that we need to get on top of. But again, based on where that person's at, we can correct them, we can get them moving towards a better position. Not hitting depth on the squat, for example, another thing of just kind of unrefined but safe. I'm not really worried, I'm not losing sleep over this stuff, but I do want to get on top of it and I do want to do my due diligence and make those corrections. So one point of interest with level 3 movements, going back to the concept of trends that I mentioned earlier, there are particular exercises that can get kind of stuck here. It's easy for coaches to turn a blind eye to them, to walk away, and not really correct them to the degree which they probably should be. Because again, they're safe enough, but unrefined. One example is rowing. So we've all seen the rounded back rowing, the ineffective recovery sequence, people just rowing not very well and getting away with it at CrossFit gyms. It's easy for us, if there's other exercises in that workout, to focus on those, focus on the weightlifting movements, the calisthenics or whatever. But again, we don't want to turn a blind eye to that unsafe or that unrefined but safe movement. Another example is jump rope. So people will get really good at jump roping really inefficiently. You'll see them kicking their heels up, maybe breaking somewhere at the midline, overextending, overusing their arms, and getting away with it. And it's something that when someone has the ability to do it consistently, we might be like, all right, well, that's good enough for them, and then we're going to move on. But again, we want to stay on top of this stuff. And this is, again, how we can have conversations within our affiliate about making sure that we're not turning a blind eye. We don't see trends of everyone rows poorly at the affiliate. Everyone jump ropes poorly. Some other examples that would fit into that category would be push-ups. We see like the soggy push-ups a lot, people getting away with those movements, coaches not really being on top of them to work towards, more refined or virtuous movement. Another example is handstand walking. We've all seen someone who's gotten really good at handstand walking with a completely overextended midline, feet flailing around. And again, this is opportunities for us as coaches to go in there to refine those people, to make them move better so they can be more efficient and ultimately have a better experience at your gym. All right, so then we move on to level 2. Level 2 movement is safe and well refined. So this would be characteristic of a member you've had coming for quite a while. They're coachable, they're moving pretty well, there's no egregious errors, they're consistent with their movement. So if you look at the model of a movement, they're working at about 90% plus accuracy to that model. And really this is where we want to get our group classes to. So if I have a group class, I should be able to look around the room, everyone's moving safely, everyone's moving correctly, consistently. And again, you're going to have some new people, some people who are more troubled movers who are maybe straddling that line of level 3, and we're trying to push them towards level 2. But in level 2, we're looking at, as an example, someone doing kipping pull-ups. There's slight cervical extension in the top of their pull-up. Maybe they're doing clean, but they're a little slow in their third pull. They're benching and their feet aren't totally connected to the floor, so there's a little bit of shuffling around during their heavier reps. Again, so basically the coaching here needs to be a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more refined. All the low-hanging fruit of that athlete or that class has been picked, and now we have to get a little bit more refined in terms of making the corrections that they might not be aware of or that we have to dig in harder to. Like I said, safe and well-refined is where we want to get our group classes. We should walk into the gym and be able to run a class to getting people moving at this level or better. All right, so finally we finish at level 1, which is virtuosity, doing the common uncommonly well. This is movement that is impeccable, that you walk by it stops you dead in your tracks and you have to watch this person move because they're moving so gracefully, so efficiently. It's movement that you could put in a textbook. Again, movement where there's basically no egregious errors happening. Everything from head to toe is accounted for. The athlete's working really well to hold nearly perfect positions consistently. And again, this is something that we want to strive for. Not everyone will be able to get to this level of virtuosity. Like I said, we want the minimum to be level 2, but then we can try to push people towards level 1 where appropriate. As an example, a smooth, graceful kipping pull-up, their feet are together, there's no overextension at the top, shoulders are in a good position, no excessive break of the midline position. It could be an Olympic lift that's well-timed, explosive, consistent, powerful. Again, movement that basically you're like, wow, that's it, that's the model, that looks great. One thing of note here, so maybe not everybody can get to this level. Again, level 2 is our minimum. It's safe and well-refined. It's good, right? It's not exactly perfect. Virtuosity, we're looking at, that's almost perfect. That's a 10 out of 10 if you're doing a gymnastics assessment there of someone. Something that you see sometimes is members who've been coming for a long time get, again, stuck here at level 2, and they might have the capacity for level 1 movement, but the coaches are prioritizing other people, trying to get them up to that level 2 standard, and we might forget some of those level 2 athletes. So if you have athletes in your gym who are moving pretty well, again, but maybe they're not moving perfectly, it's on you as a coach to get on top of those people. That's the guy or gal who's doing kipping pull-ups and their feet are kind of coming apart. You have to be diligent, you have to be stubborn, you have to be on top of people to push them from level 2 to level 1. So keeping your feet together, being on top of them about their movement, not settling for less. Those people, those level 2 athletes who've been there for a while will really appreciate that extra push. Because again, a lot of people get stuck here. They're moving well enough, they're moving consistently, and then they just go through the motions of their workout and they don't get a lot of movement feedback. But again, on us as coaches, we have to make sure we're trying to push people where possible as far as we get towards level 1. All right, so hopefully this can be of some value to you and your affiliate as a tool. I went over the 5 different levels, talked about kind of what they are categorically, as well as kind of some descriptions and examples that we might see in that. Again, you can use this on an individual level. So I might be talking about a particular individual who's coming to the gym. Hey, this guy, exhibits a lot of level 5 movement. He has a lot of issues. Maybe we need to take this person aside and try to bring them towards another foundation cycle or do some personal training with them, or maybe the coaches need to be more diligent. I can talk about movement as a whole with a group. So for example, I'm assessing a coach, and what I'm seeing in their class is a lot of level 4 and level 3 movement. And again, I can be specific, giving examples of what I see, but this is helpful to talk about trends. So instead of saying, well, Johnny was routing his back and Mary had an early arm pull, and I can go through all this list of issues that we have, but ultimately we want to think about that you're as good of a coach as you can get people moving towards level 1. So someone who maybe is fun, engaging, motivating, runs a relatively organized class, but they have all their people moving at level 4, level 3, is still not a good coach. You're as good of a coach as you can get people moving towards that level 1. So again, we can have a conversation as a staff, as a culture, as an affiliate, as a gym, to make sure that we're moving people as far as we can towards this direction. So again, it works for individuals, it works for individual movement, it works for talking about groups, and also it's helpful to talk about within yourself. So a lot of this culture that we talked about in the beginning is top down. So if your coaches are moving at level 3 movement, level 4 movement, if they're doing things in level 5, you have some hotshot coach, rounded back deadlifts, looking like garbage, that's going to have a trickle-down effect with your members about what they think is appropriate and acceptable in your gym. So take this stuff back to your affiliates, have a conversation with your coaches about it, talk about, if this is a useful tool for you guys to begin to talk about movement in, again, a more categorical way, in a broader perspective, and hopefully get you as an affiliate speaking the same language and having the same expectations about where you want to bring your members.